Good morning. November 3rd, 2020, Election Day. I hope you're praying for America today. I am, and in the days to come. But I want to talk about January 12th, 2010. Yep, over 10 years ago. Some of you might remember what happened that day. That was a day that there was a horrific earthquake that hit Haiti. It hit at 4:53 p.m. local time. So about 4 o'clock Chicago time. And that day is a day that I will always remember. I don't know how I could ever forget it. It was a day that my sister Karen had surgery, and inadvertently in the process, we had suspected that she had a very serious cancer. And she did. We weren't supposed to find out, but we did. That happened that day. And then also that day, I was at my mom's house when she officially entered into hospice, where she went from normal medical care to hospice care. And then as I was seated at her house, I received a text from a former student of mine mentioning the earthquake to me. How bad was the earthquake? Over 220,000 people. Over 220,000 people at least died. Over 300,000 people were injured. Over the course of the next 10 days or so, there were 52 aftershocks that rated at least 4.5 on the Richter scale. The initial earthquake was, I believe, 7.3 on the Richter scale. Later that year, I had a chance to go with the team down to Haiti, and we normally go to the north, but the north was hardly affected by the earthquake, whereas the south was devastated. And so we stayed at Mission of Hope. They had a medical clinic there, and one of the amazing things was anybody who was in the south of Haiti, if they were still alive, they had a story. They had a story to tell about what happened that day. And the people that worked at the clinic, we got to hear some of their story. And that was that, at about almost 5 o'clock in the afternoon, they were wrapping up for the day. And then the earthquake hit. And the structure was sound, and then within minutes, people started arriving. The medical personnel worked at least another 24 hours, if not 30 hours. They worked something like 36, 38 hours straight. And they told stories of having a makeshift morgue. Something I'll never forget. But I really want to focus on this one guy. I don't remember his name. He was kind of diminutive. He was some type of theological student, sweet young man. And he was somewhere in the heart of Port-au-Prince. Mission of Hope is a little bit outside of the city, up the bay a little bit. And he said, at first they didn't realize that it was an earthquake, and they didn't know why no one was coming to help, but as the building rocked, he tried to get out and he ran towards the door. But this other guy inexplicably ran away from the door. And so when they were knocked to the ground, he fell down, the smaller guy, and this big guy fell on top of him. And then the roof, which was concrete, collapsed on top of all of them. And they lay there, and they were theological students. They were singing songs. They were singing hymns. And I'll never forget how he told the story that as they were singing, voices would trail off. Those voices would literally sing hymns and then trail off into eternity. He understood that when they stopped singing, they stopped breathing. They were gone. The man that fell on top of him, who inexplicably ran the wrong direction, he'll never understand why he did it, because he stopped singing. He stopped breathing as well. And as he shared his story with us, the thing that really struck him was that this thing that initially he thought was so terrible that this guy blocked him from having any chance of leaving and then fell on top of him, that man saved his life. Without that man being there, the roof, the ceiling would have fallen on top of him, would have crushed him. As it was, he survived and felt that life was a gift. Sometimes things go exactly the way we don't want them to go, and yet sometimes there's a blessing that's hidden within that. I am quite certain that there's going to be a lot of Americans over the course of the next month or so that are not going to like the outcome of this election. Some people might say it's the worst thing that's ever happened. I can almost guarantee some people will say that. And yet, perhaps, just perhaps, we might find that there's a lot of blessing and a lot of good that will come out of the events of 2020. God bless you. Have a great day.